the corporate game was not the game that I wanted to be playing. The game of corporate politics did not align with what I can do, which is use my voice, use my passion, use my energy to connect people and bring people together. And I needed to trust that that's where I was headed, in a world where I was so stuck in the golden, we call them golden handcuffs in tech. You know, you have the money, you have the 401k, you have the title, you have sexy offices. Every time you travel to a different place in the world, like you get to go into a nice office, you get drawn in by all of these luxuries. But there comes a time where I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. And what I recognized, I was the universe this whole time was trying to remind me and tell me, hey, look, I keep trying to let you go so that you can move into something else, but you're hard-headed. You're not listening. So when are you going to get the message? Which actually brings me to the last point I want to share about the Oprah thing, which she used to do this Q&A. It's called After the Show. After every show, she would do a Q&A where she would take a few questions from the audience. And the team has since captured some of those videos and posted them on YouTube. And one of them is someone asked, how do you know that this was your calling? How did you know that this is what you wanted to do? And she said, I recognize that my life is not mine alone, that there's something else going on here, that I'm in the co-pilot seat, and that there is a bigger energy that is, she calls it God, but you call it divine intelligence, the universe, whatever that is for you, that there's something bigger going on here. And your number one job is to get still and to listen to that and to move with that as opposed to push against it. And man, that was a huge unlock for me, because this whole time, as I felt like a failure getting let go from these jobs, what I now recognize is it was just life trying to nudge me in another direction and say, honey, this isn't it. You're not at capacity working in some big 1,000-person organization in marketing, hiding behind a computer doing slides. Like there's a bigger calling on your life. And finally, I see it. I can see it and I can feel it and I can taste it. And, that's why we're here talking.
Mm. So was there a pivotal moment where you finally saw that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not a tech person who has an aspiration to be a coach, but I'm really a coach who's been masquerading in tech for all these years? Was there a conversation, maybe perhaps with a mentor
Yes.
or after watching Oprah, or what was the moment that clicked?
I took 6 months after getting fired from Airbnb. I did all this work. I then said, all right, I'm good now. I can go back into tech with this new awareness. So I got a job at Lyft and I spent a couple years there. And it was actually great with this new level of awareness. I was growing in the role, managing people, working on autonomous vehicles, right? Future forward, 10 years out.
And not giving unsolicited advice this time, or?
That's right. And having an awareness, having a meditation practice, having a breath work practice, recognizing, oh, I feel what's happening right now. Somebody's saying something in this meeting. I know it's wrong. And I'm feeling my armpits get tingly and my chest is tightening and I'm starting to sweat. And I recognize what's happening. And instead of using that and turning into the Hulk, I now recognized, oh, okay, I'm supposed to relax and lean away and let this pass and regulate myself, come back to my breath, regulate myself. And I realized, oh, okay, this is so interesting. I recognize what's happening. And then COVID hit. And of course, the trifecta of Black Lives Matter protests, COVID, all the tornadoes and fires, of course, put a lot of pressure on the rideshare business. And I was rerouted from autonomous vehicles to working with the CDC to figure out what were all the things we were going to do as Lyft to keep people safe. Partitions, masks, venting the car, cleaning, all these protocols, right? Trying to figure stuff out day by day as thousands and thousands of people a day were dying. And a year into doing this work, we were asked by the CDC to include more mask messaging in our app because people were getting in the car and taking 5 minutes to find their mask while they're in the car. And it's like, hello, the car is small. This driver is typically a Black and brown person who doesn't have a guest pool house. So if they get sick, everyone in their family is getting sick and they don't have the same access to healthcare and to so on and so forth that everyone else does. So let's make sure people have their mask on before they get in the ride. And We made it, that push notification that says so and so is in your car, is en route, will be there in a minute, please be outside with the car. I wanted to add, please be outside with your mask on before you get in the ride. And the team wanted to put it under a several month experiment to see the impact on bookings. And in that moment, I basically had a panic attack. I thought, are you kidding me? There are 50,000 people a day dying. And I know that because every morning we have a stand up, and my job on the first slide is to copy and paste the number from New York Times onto the slide so that the entire Tiger team knows what numbers we're dealing with here. And you're telling me that in order for me to add the word mask on this push notification, I have to wait 4 months on an experiment? No, 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 no. There's something grossly wrong here. We're misaligned. Like, all of a sudden, everything became very small. On top of that, my family was getting sick. So many of us dealt with parents and family members who were hospitalized or sick. And so it very quickly became real to me that this is not my purpose. My job here is not to stay within this system where I keep bumping up against values misaligned decisions that I'm losing. And instead of turning into the Hulk and getting angry like I used to do, I said, all right, I'm going to leave. And I don't know what's next, but I think I need to coach these people. I think I need to train these people, these leaders, how to lead from their heart and live through their values, versus we have these values, but then we're so myopic in our processes of, oh, you're changing a push notification, we have to put it under an experiment. And it's like, you're not thinking about the context of everything else going on in the world. You're not seeing the forest through the trees. And that was the moment where I finally said, okay, this is it. I left. I read a bunch of books, one of them, Michael Singer, The Surrender Experiment. And I decided to take the rest of the year and do my surrender experiment. So I literally was like, let me surrender. I have this new awareness. I've left this job. I'm going to surrender, and I'm going to see what the universe has in store for me. Oprah was talking about how she gets still and she syncs up with the source, and she allows the truth of herself to come through from that inner world. I'm going to go figure out what that is. Let me just surrender to what the universe has and see where it takes me. And then little by little, I started taking phone calls. Some friend from Airbnb is starting a new AI company. Some friend here is trying to reorg their team. Some friend here is having trouble, working with their leaders, this, that, and the other. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I get so much joy out of being able to get on the phone and create a brave space for people to lay down their guard, let down their armor, and be fully true about what's going on, and then use the energy of that conversation to unlock clarity and give them hope and purpose towards the way forward. Maybe I could do this for a living. Like, maybe I could make a business out of this. And so it took me several months to finally be like, okay, I think I'm going to try it. And so I went to coaching school and got certified. I built my client one by one. My KPI was serve one person powerfully. And then the second one was serve one person powerfully and then get paid for it. And then 1 became 2, and 2 became 3, and 3 became 4, and 4 became 5. And then this thing started to grow. And I started to get asked to come speak to teams at all hands and offsites about bravery, around creativity and innovation and being vulnerable and leading with your heart. And then I started to realize, oh, interesting, there's patterns here. Every time I have a one-on-one conversation with an executive in tech, oftentimes most of my clients are startups, they all feel alone. They all feel like they're suffering in silence, but there's actually patterns here that I'm seeing across the board. How can I merge this with my gift of marketing, of storytelling, of being able to articulate an idea and passionately? And that's where the birth of the podcast came, and said, you know what, let me just try this. Let me try for 10 episodes. I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens. I'm going to take the patterns and the themes that I'm seeing, and I'm going to do quick 20 to 30 minute, I'm going to preach. I'm going to take an issue and a topic, and I'm just going to get on the mic and preach and see what happens. And then before you know it, like, it started to grow, and, it's like, wow, all of this I'm living in the space of the dream. I'm living in the space of no longer resisting and trying to control and pushing against, but just allowing and merging with whatever's sort of coming my way. And it's wild. It's wild.
If you like that video, you're going to love the next one. Click this thumbnail right here and I'll see you over there.